Assalamu alaikum. I am Madiha Maryam from RLAK Government College of Home Economics, Karachi. This lecture is particularly for the students of BS Home Economics, 5th semester Statistics 2. Our topic for today is hypothesis test concerning means. For any test of hypothesis, you are going to follow certain procedure. So, in this hypothesis test concerning means, for step 1, we formulate our null and alternative hypothesis. What null and alternative hypothesis are, we have already discussed in our previous classes. So, we will only revise how the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis are stated. Null hypothesis is stated that population mean is equal to our assumed mean, and in alternative hypothesis we have three possible alternatives for our equality sign. So that is, our population mean is not equal to assumed mean, our population mean is less than our assumed mean, and our population mean is greater than our assumed mean. In critical value approach, we have two-tailed test, that is not equal to sign, less than, for less than test, that is our rejection region will be on the left side, left tail test, and in the greater than side we have right tail test. Then we decide on level of significance. Test formula or statistics is stated in step 3, and then in step 4 we decide whether to reject or accept our null hypothesis. So what we actually do, if we are conducting a two-tailed test, we divide alpha with 2 because our values can lie on either side of the mean. So if they can lie on either side of the mean, we will divide alpha with 2.0. If for suppose if we are taking alpha is equal to 0.05, then it means that we are going to take the value of the 0.05, the tabulated value of 0.025 on either side of the mean. About the others will remain the same. If the test statistics falls in the rejection region, for suppose your formula answer falls in the rejection region, you will reject H naught, otherwise you will not reject H naught, and then in the final step you will interpret the result. Now we are going to learn t-test. For t-test we have to have following assumptions. Number one is population standard deviation is not known. In For your examination point of view, if you see that sigma is not given in the question, then you have to apply t-test. Otherwise you can go for z-test, a large sample size or normal distribution. Now we are going to start a t-test, hypothesis test, t-test. Uh, I'm not going to repeat the whole procedure of how we conduct a hypothesis test. So in step 2, one thing is added over here: degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom are always the sample size minus 1, and when you are finding the value of alpha, tabulated alpha from the table, in T table there is an extra thing that is called degree of freedom, that is sample size minus 1. In step 3 you formulate your test statistics. You can see in this formula here that instead of sigma, S is given, sample standard deviation is given. So only this is the difference between Z and the t-test formula. So you will be using this formula in conducting t-test. Now we are going to have an example in our next step, so that you can have a more clear view of what t-statistics means. Example: Aldo Marchietto and Andrea Lamy measured the pH of high mountain lakes in southern Alps and reported their findings in the paper Reconstruction of pH by Christophanian Scales in Some Lakes of Southern Alps. Hydrobiology, Volume 274, page 83 to 90. Following table shows the pH level obtained by the researchers for 15 lakes. Always remember that a lake is non-acidic for pH greater than 6. Following table indicates that the 15 lakes and their pH level 7.2, 7.3, and these are all the values of the different 15 lakes of Southern Alps. At 5% significance level, do the data provide sufficient evidence to conclude that on average high mountain lakes in Southern Alps are non-acidic? Here three things are to be considered. Number one, what is alpha given? Here 5% significance level means that alpha is 0.05, 5 divided by 100. Do the data provide sufficient evidence to conclude that on average, average means that it is a test concerning mean, not a test concerning standard deviation. Average means mean, test concerning mean. High mountain lakes in southern Alps are non-acidic. Since we are using one sample t-test, as we have the data of only one sample, so we are going to use t-test. Why we are going to use t-test? It is because, can I just recall your z-test lecture or my previous lecture, that in t-test you don't need to have a population standard deviation given. So here population standard deviation is not given and you are going to apply t-test. In step 1 you will be formulating hypothesis test, null hypothesis and your alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is mu is equal to 6. Now why the term 6 is used? Now why this number 6 is used? It is because in the previous slide we have already mentioned that the lake is non-acidic if it is greater than 6. So in null hypothesis we use equality sign, mu is equal to 6, and in alternative hypothesis we use mu is greater than 6 because a non-acidic lake is always greater than 6. So the test is the right tail test. Decide on alpha 0.05. According to the formula we will find out mean and standard deviation. Mean formula summation x upon n and standard deviation formula is summation x minus x bar whole square divided by n minus 1 whole under root, and n is equal to 15, mu is equal to 6. Now we will see the value of tabulated test, tabulated value of the t-test for degree of freedom 14. This is 14. This is see the red mark. This is 14 and 0.05. The tabulated value is 1.76130. So now recall that value of calculated T is 3.458, which lie in the rejection region. This is your rejection region. This is your rejection region. The value lie in the rejection region. So we reject H naught. Therefore we conclude that the lakes of northern Alps are non-acidic.